sister, will you go with me? Lay the bed to the bonny broom. There lived a lady by the North Sea shore. Lay the bed to the bonny broom. 2 daughters were the babes she bore. Fa la 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 la. One grew bright as the morning sun. Lay the bed to the bonny broom. Dark and sullen grew the other one. Fa la 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 la. A knight came riding to the lady's door. Lay the bed to the bonny broom. He travelled far to be their wooed. Fa la 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 la. He courted one with gloves and rings. Lay the bed to the bonny broom. But he loved the other above all things. Fa la 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 la. Oh, sister, will you go with me? Lay the bed to the bonny broom. To watch the ships sail on the sea. Fa la 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 la. But as they stood there above the shore, lay the bed to the bonny broom. The elder pushed her sister on. Fa la 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 la. Oh, sister, if you'll let me live, lay the bed to the bonny broom. All that I have I'll surely give. Fa la 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 la. It's your true love I'll have and more. Lay the bed to the bonny broom, but you shall never come ashore. Fa la 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 la. 2 minstrels walking by the North Sea strand. Lay the bed to the bonny broom. Saw the maiden float to land. Fa la 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 la. They made a harp of her breastbone. Lay the bed to the bonny broom, whose sound could melt a heart of stone. Fa la 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 la. They went unto her father's hall. Lay the bed to the bonny broom, to play the harp before them all. Fa la 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 la. But when they set it upon a stone, lay the bed to the bonny broom, the harp began to play alone. Fa la 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 la. Sometimes it mourned, sometimes it cried. Lay the bed to the bonny broom. In terror sat the black-haired bride. Fa la 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 la. And then it sang so sweet and low. Lay the bed to the bonny broom, and surely now her tears will flow. Fa la 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 la. Hi, I'm Laurie Riley, and I'm here to show you some techniques to help you use the harp to accompany songs and also to accompany other instruments. When you're doing accompaniments, you don't have to play the melody. That's different from solo, obviously. When you play solo, the melody is very important. When you play accompaniment, the harmonies are important. You can use chords, counterpoints, anything you want to use, whatever sounds good to you. That's really the basis of all of this, whatever sounds good to you. We're going to cover a repertoire of techniques, such as getting to know your harp. And as I just said, that's the most important thing, especially if you're accustomed to using written music. Getting to know your harp means finding out where everything happens, finding out where the chords are, finding out how they work. We're going to cover finding harmonies, choosing the keys that you'll need to play in, creating rhythms, transposing. Towards the end of the tape, we'll go over some songs to demonstrate the techniques that you've learned. So let's start by numbering the strings. I'm in the key of C. So I have a scale, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And that just repeats, going down or going up, it's going to be the same thing. If I number my strings from C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I'm going to refer to those numbers quite a bit. Those numbers will apply no matter what octave you're in. You can start down here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or up here or anywhere else you start. If you happen to be in a different key, 1 is going to be the tonic note of the key. For instance, if I'm in the key of F, and I have a diatonic scale from F, then F becomes 1. I'm going to get back into C. So let's talk about chords. Chords are the most basic things that you'll be using in accompaniment. They create your harmonies. They create the feeling, the mood, and the rhythm. A chord is a combination of notes. It's several notes played all at once, which harmonize with themselves and with your melody. For instance, let's say that we're starting on C with some melody note. You'll want to play probably a C chord. And how you do that, of course, is what you're about to find out. But notice that all of the notes in the chord harmonize with the C note, and they also harmonize with each other. The most basic form of chord is what I call the 1-3-5 chord. Sometimes I refer to it as the three-fingered chord. So here we are in the key of C, and C is 1. I place my fingers on 1, then count up 2 strings, and 2 plus 1, of course, is 3, so we have 1, 2, 3. Then count up 2 more, 4, 5. 1, 3, 5. This is always going to be a major chord. If you happen to be in the key of F, and F is 1, it'll sound like that, but your fingers stay in the same kind of position. And it just happens that this kind of position works anywhere on the harp. You can move it up, you can also add the octave to it. 1, 3, 5, 8. You can play that with one hand if you use 4 fingers. 1, 3, 5, 8. These are the most basic forms of the chords. And again, with this you can play it anywhere. You can move it up to or down or all over your harp. The name of the chord is always the lowest note that you're playing. If, for instance, I have a 1-3-5 chord and I'm on C, you watch my hands, then the name of my chord is the one that this finger, the lowest finger, is playing. So I'm playing a C chord. Let's say I move it here. I'm up 2 more notes. It sounds like that. And it just happens that the lowest string that I'm playing is an E, and so the name of my chord is E. The same principle applies if I make this a 4-fingered chord or a 1-3-5-8 chord. The lowest note that I've played is a C, and so the name of the chord is C. The basic forms of the chords actually can get a little boring if you use nothing but these most basic forms all the time. So what I like to do is invert the chords occasionally, and that's not nearly as difficult as it sounds. So let's go back and look at a basic C chord again. 1, 3, 5. The names of the notes that I'm playing are C, E, and G. If you play a C major chord, the notes are always going to be C, E, and G, but they don't necessarily have to happen in that order. What if you play E, G, C? I'll do it again. It's still a C chord. It just has a different voicing. Let's go back down here and compare. That's my first inversion. So all I've done is I've moved my C from down here to up here. Let's try the second inversion. I'm still using those same basic notes, C, E, and G, because I still want a C chord. So what happens this time if I play it in this order, G, C, and E? I still have a C chord. So there's 3 ways to play a C chord. I can do the same thing with any chord. For instance, let's try F. Here I am, 1, 3, 5. I have the notes F, A, and C. I can use those in any order that I choose. I can go A, C, F. And the name of my chord is still F. Or I can go C, F, A. And the name of my chord is still F. Before I was mentioning that in the 1-3-5 position, or the 1-3-5-8 position, the name of your chord is the lowest note. As soon as you get away from that basic position and start inverting, then the name of your chord isn't necessarily the lowest note anymore. But when you're first learning, if you use the basic form of the chord 1-3-5 or 1-3-5-8, remembering that the name of the chord is the lowest note is a very handy thing. Another interesting kind of chord is what I call an open chord. That's a different kind of inversion, shall I say. Let's take another look at an F chord. Here's my basic form, 1, 3, 5. Now I don't have to keep my bass note, for instance, my lowest note, an F. I know that the notes of my chord are F, A, C. So I can play that F somewhere else. I could play it an octave lower. Or I could play my A an octave lower. Or I could play my C an octave lower. So let's try that same chord with the C an octave lower and leave out the A. I'll change my fingers around to make it look more reasonable. And now I have a different sound. It's still basically an F chord, but we've changed it enough so that becomes questionable. But what I've done is I've opened up a chord. I've taken F and opened it. Let's do the same thing with the C chord. Here we are, 1, 3, 5, and the notes are C, E, and G. I can open up this chord. For instance, if I go way down here and play my lowest note as a C an octave below, and then I might play this G, and then I might play this C and not use the E until I get up here. And then I can make rhythms with it. this is this opened up C chord. And I'm going to talk more about that specific thing a little later on. How do you figure out what chords to use and where to use them? Let's choose a tune that you probably know. How about Greensleeves in A minor? The best way to find a chord is to take your cues from the melody. Here's the first few notes of the melody. Now it just so happens that the range covered is from here to here. Now that reminds me of the range covered in a three-fingered chord. So let's look at a three-fingered chord an octave lower. Okay, and let's see if it works. You notice that I play the chords on the strong beats. Now the way that I knew exactly where to play that chord was because it was exactly an octave's difference from the notes of my melody. Now let's experiment with it a little bit. What would happen if I took the middle note out of this and played just those two notes? Well, I like that a lot better, and the reason is because it sounds a lot more ancient, and since Greensleeves is such an old tune, I think that's fitting. So what are the next few notes of the tune? And where are the strong beats? Da 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 da, here and here. So that's probably the range of another chord that I'm going to use. And those notes happen to be D and G, so let's try a D and a G down here. Well, what do you know? It works. So here's what we have so far. And you can continue from there. It's really quite simple. Let's talk about chords a little more, and let's talk about keys. You're going to have to know how to transpose from one key to another, and that means you're going to have to know what chords to fit into what keys. Every key has 3 major and 3 minor chords. For instance, in the key of C, if I consider, again, C is 1, and therefore I'm going to call my C chord 1. My major notes are on 1, 4, and 5, my major chords. 1, 4, 5. And the numbers that I'm using are the names of the strings, which are also the names of the chords. 1, 4, 5. The minor chords are at 2, 3, and 6. Let's do this again. I'm in the key of C. I know that my major chords are always going to be 1, 4, 5, and my minors are always going to be 2, 3, and 6. So to transpose, let's say that your tune involves these chords, 1, 4, and 5, and you're playing it in C, but you want to play it in D. So, assuming that you retune your harp to D, and D becomes 1, your D chord. Then count up to 4, 2, 3, 4, and then to 5, and there you have it. When you're singing, you have to choose a key that fits the range of your voice and the range of the song. So for this section, listen very closely. You might even want to close your eyes and just listen. I'm going to choose a tune that I know has a wide range. If I'm playing in the key of C, for instance, the range of my voice is going to be from D above middle C to A below middle C. That's quite a distance. And if I haven't the slightest idea where I'm going to play it, I have to just choose a key and try it out. So I think I'll try the key of F first and see what happens. We might hear some terrible sounds right now. Well, let's try it down there. With my, I can't go any lower, so I know that's not going to work. Let's try it up there. With my dog and cat. I know that one's not going to work, so I don't even have to worry about what the low note's going to do. Obviously, F doesn't work. Let's try the key of C. With my dog and run through the blooming heather. That was my highest note, and that wasn't too bad. So let's go for the lowest note and see what happens there. I met a maid, she was tall and slender, not bad. So I think I'm going to be playing that one in the key of C. Another thing you'll need to know about is harmonies. Obviously, chords are harmonies, but let's get a little more specific. A harmony is created by intervals. Let's look at some intervals. I'm going to start on C, and I'm going to play a series of intervals. I'm going to play the next note up from C, which is D. If C is 1 and D is 2, I call that interval a second. Let's try the next note up, a third. So I have 1, 2, 3 notes. If it's 3 notes apart, it's a third. A fourth, a fifth, a sixth, a seventh, and an eighth, or octave. Let's do it again. Some of these harmonies will sound pleasing to your ear, and some of them won't. The ones that don't can be used occasionally, and the ones that do you'll probably find yourself using more often. Let's look again. Here's your C note, and here's the second. This is one of the less pleasing sounds, at least to our ears. A third is a very commonly used interval. A fourth gives us a more ancient sounding harmony. A fifth also gives us a very ancient sounding harmony. A sixth is another fairly common harmony. A seventh is not as pleasing. You won't hear it as often. And an octave may or may not be acceptable in some cases. You'll end up using all of those if you're imaginative. And you'll notice that a chord is a combination of intervals, as we already said, 1, 3, 5. Let's take another kind of chord and make a different combination of intervals. 1, 4, 6. Now let's see what happens if we want to create a harmony along with a melody. Let's take this little melody. And let's see what happens if we play, how about a fourth below? interesting, but that's about all I can say for it. Let's try a third below. Well, I like that a lot better. You'll probably notice that I made my third below it instead of not above it. Here's what happens if I put the third above it. What happened was your ear probably heard the higher note as being the melody, and so you thought the melody was this, etc. So I like to put my intervals below so that my ear will hear the top note as the melody. Let's do that once again. Now that sounds nice all the way through until I get to the very end. And I think what I'd really like to do there is change the interval. So, shall I do a fourth? Well, I don't know. How about a sixth? Already I think I'm going to like that. Let's try it again. There, I played it right that time. So that's a good sampling of intervals. And if you work and play with those a lot and test them out and let your ear tell you what you like the best. Let's go back to a C chord. I'm going to tell you how to create rhythms using your chords. Here's your C. You have 3 notes. Well, that immediately suggests to me that we can play a waltz beat. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I'm just playing the 3 notes from the bottom up. C, E, G, C, E, G, C, E, G. Or I can do that another way. Drop the bass and open up my chord. Here's another rhythm. Let's try 4/4, and for that I'm going to use a 4-fingered chord. 1, 3, 5, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's try 2/4. For this I'm going to go up to my 5th, to my 3rd, and back to my 5th. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And you can use both hands to do these. So you can double time that. If you have a waltz beat, for instance, goes 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, you can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So for an example, let's go back to Greensleeves. I'm going to play it this time in B minor. Alas, my love, you do me wrong to cast me out discourteously, for I have loved you so long, delighting in your company. You've probably guessed by now that there really aren't any rules. Basically, what you have to do is whatever you want, whatever sounds good to you. Figure it out in your head, and if it works for you, it's fine. There's no need to have anxiety attacks over whether you're doing something right or not. One of the interesting things that you can do with basic chords is make very slight changes. Say we have a piece that goes this all the way through this piece, people are going to start yawning very quickly. But if you make a slight change, say let's take the C and move it down to B instead of, that gives it a much more interesting sound. Now I can make a whole thing out of that. I can open up chords. Watch my left hand. I'm going to play the introduction and the first verse of Lord Franklin in the key of F, and then I'll stop and tell you how I've done it. It was homeward bound one night on the Dee, swinging in my hammock, I fell asleep. I dreamed a dream, and I thought it true, concerning Franklin and his gallant crew. What happened there was I used the kind of chord that I was talking about, and then I opened it up with my left hand. I played a D instead of an F for the bottom note. Then I played a C, and then I played the F way down on the bottom. With the right hand I just kept doing what I was doing. Singing, this harmony didn't work anymore, so I had to go back to a basic chord. I'll show you what I mean. It was homeward bound one night on the D. That's with the basic 1-3-5 chord. If I use the modified chord and I try to sing, it was homeward bound. Are a little strange. Also, this type of chord works better with some rhythms than it does with others, and if you notice, the rhythm changed between the introduction and the verse. Let's talk a little bit more about opening up your chords. Here's your normal C chord, and I'm going to do a tune where I open that C, I put the bass down here, and I play the G note in between, and then another C, and I leave out the E until the very last, and put in a little harmony and a few interesting intervals, and here's what happens. So I'll play a verse of the song. There stood a maid in her father's garden, a fine young sailor upon the street. He stood a while, and he gazed upon her and said, "Fair young maid, won't you marry me?" nice touch is to use your sharping levers. I'm in the key of C, and this particular song has a chord in it that's a little too plain. I'll show you what I mean. There's a green shade of color to the light. Now I can improve the plainness of that harmony by sharping my A's. Listen to the difference. There's a green shade of color to the light. I'm going to play through a verse of this song so that you can see what happens when I change the sharping levers. There's a green shade of color to the light that pours in through our window at the end of the night. It's the sunlight through the leaves of an old maple tree that has witnessed all the lovers here since this house came to be. And the fireplace that warms our winter nights has gathered many families in its light, and the children who have long since grown and died were born here in the room where we now lie. Although your right hand is free to do something other than playing melodies, as you've seen, it's okay to play melodies sometimes, as in this tune. There lived a lady by the North Sea shore, lay the bed to the bonny room, two daughters were the babes she bore. Fa la 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 la. Here's another technique. I'm going to play a song and then I'll stop and tell you what I've done. I've been told that when you smile, the lines around your eyes give your age away, and that maybe in your beard there's a hint of gray. Oh, I remember we children living in a younger day, many years before. I don't know you anymore. So here's what happened. Once again, I used a different technique from the introduction to the verse. The introduction sounded like this. All I'm doing is going up and down, changing chords, changing again, etc. And my left hand put them together, and this is what you get. switch to the verse, I did a technique that I adapted from guitar playing called traverse picking. I'm starting with a C note and a G note, and I'm doing it only with my right hand. My left hand continues to do this, etc. So let's just look at the right hand. I play C and G both at the same time, then F, E, G, C, F, E. Let's do it again. C and G, F, E, G, C, F, E. Let's switch it to an A minor chord. Let's go back to C. Let's drop the bass one note. And if I use both hands, put my left hand in on C, it'll sound like this. Etc. Of course, I can use my right hand to play harmonies like this. With my dog and gun through the blooming heather. If I put that together with my left hand doing something simple, it'll sound like this. With my dog and gun through the blooming heather. For game and pleasure I took my way. I met a maid, she was tall and slender. Her eyes enticed me some time to stay. Earlier I spoke about using intervals to create harmonies. You choose the interval that pleases you the most. Here's a very old tune. It's in Latin. And the melody goes like this. Now if I use sixths, I'm going to go a sixth down. I'm starting, this is in the key of E minor, so I'm starting on E, and a sixth down from there is G. I can use the same interval all the way through that melody. And I can do even more with my left hand, and on my left hand I change the intervals. So I've actually created a new melody. For the verses in this song, I'm going to use fourths. And for the rest of it, I'm going to do what you just saw. So when I put together the components that I just showed you, it sounds like this. Gratiae, hocor optabamus, carmina laetitiae, devotere damus. Gaudete, gaudete, Christus est natus, ex Maria Virgine, gaudete. The last thing I'd like to show you is a technique that you can use in very dramatic places in your songs. I call it a trill, and it sounds like this. And the way I do it is one note at a time, going down. The notes I happen to be playing right now are B, G, and E. Now let's see what happens if I add my left hand. Oh, will you marry my daughter Janet by the truth of your right hand? Oh, will you marry my daughter Janet? I'll make you the lord of my land. I hope that the material we've gone over here will be very helpful to you, and don't forget that you can expound upon this. This has all been very simple. You can make it as complicated as you like. And also remember that there really aren't any rules. Whatever works for you is the best thing. Just do whatever sounds good to you. And play with your harp a lot. Just sit down and do things you've never done before. Natus ex Maria Virgine gaudete. Tempus ades gratiae hoc optamus, Carminale Titiae devotere damus. Ex Maria Virgine gaudete. Deus homo factus est, natura megante, mundus renovatus est, a Christo regnante. Gaudete, gaudete, Christus est natus, ex Maria Virgine gaudete. Nostro consio salatiam in lustro, benedicat Domino, solus Regi nostro.